What's good, guys? Welcome back to another Pokemon Sun and Moon Wi-Fi battle. Today, I have another never used match. This one is against Violetta from Twitter, and I threw this team together just full of kind of some Pokemon that I don't use a whole lot, including Manectric, Scrafty, we even got Rampardos along with Wishiwashi. So, it seems like a pretty well-rounded squad. This was my first battle with this team, so let's go ahead and hop into the match and see how this goes. So I'm just going to be going with Cradilly as my lead, as she actually ends up leading off with her Silvally. So I'm going to go ahead and throw out Cradildo, ready to set up some Stealth Rock, although the one thing I do notice is that she has a Xatu on her team. So whenever you see a Xatu on the opponent's team, you got to be aware of the Magic Bounce potential. I don't want to go straight for Stealth Rock in case she just switches into that thing. So I predict the switch into the Xatu actually, and I'm going to switch into my Manectric, trying to get the matchup there, although she actually just ends up going straight for the Ice Beam, trying to land it on Cradilly. Bork doesn't really give a shit about any ice, so I'm able to take that really nicely, as I'm going to go for a Volt Switch, although unfortunately in comes the Sandcastle. So I do have Hidden Power Ice on this Manectric. I don't want to stay in and use it right away. Obviously not going to do a whole lot of damage to that thing, so I'm going to play it safe here, and I switch into my Scrafty. So the reason being is because I know I can take any attack from this Palisand and then be able to hit really hard back with a knockoff. So that thing goes for the Shadow Ball, which I'm obviously able to take really nicely, and I'm just going to go straight for the knockoff here, as in comes the Articuno. I really wish I had my Stealth Rock up at this point. I probably should have just stayed in and gone for it against that Silvally in the beginning, but I really didn't want to get it bounced back at me and then be in a bad position against the Xatu. So the knockoff does a solid amount of damage to that there Articuno, as I'm just going to switch right back into Cradildo. The reason being is because I can set up my Stealth Rock or either scare this thing away with the potential Rock Slide. So I'm actually going to go ahead and here I'm going to predict a switch right into the Xatu yet again. So I don't end up going for the Stealth Rock here. I'm actually going to switch right back into my Manectric, kind of hoping I would catch the Xatu. Although it makes sense because she just switches into the Aggron expecting the Rock Slide. So Bork is just going to go ahead and Volt Switch up on out of here. I get over half damage on that thing, which is really nice. And this allows me to switch into my Weezing. Keep in mind my Manectric is actually Choice Specs. Forgot to mention that earlier, but that thing hits hard as fuck. So Weezing's out here getting some Disco Ball action going, and my initial plan is to just go straight for the Will-O-Wisp, but I figure that's pretty damn obvious. So check this out. I'm actually going to predict a switch into the Xatu yet again. I'm really trying to get this damn matchup because this Xatu is really just applying some stupid pressure on me. So I switch into my Manectric yet again, and I finally get it right, as she is going to go into the Xatu, which is perfect. So now, obviously, she's not going to stay in here. This is a terrible matchup. I'm expecting the Palisand just because, obviously, trying to soak up an electric attack, so I just go straight for the Hidden Power Ice. It would have hit the Xatu for decent damage also, but it looks like it's not going to be able to do a whole lot of damage to that Palisand anyway, but it's better than nothing. So at this point, I'm just going to switch right back into my Scrafty against the Palisand, expecting an Earth Power. I know that I can take that relatively nicely. I come in, intimidate this thing with my scary hoodlum looks, as this thing's just going to go straight for an Earth Power there, like I mentioned. So it's going to leave me at like 44 HP, which is honestly fine, as at this point, I'm just going to go for a knockoff, trying to play it safe, maybe trying to not make any over predictions here, as she does actually just end up going right into the Articuno. So this thing has already lost its item. It's not going to take a whole lot from the knockoff there, and I do not want to take a Hurricane to the face, so I decide to switch out my Hoodlum Scrafty, and I'm going to go right into Disco Balls. So the reason why I switch into Weezing on an incoming Hurricane here is because when I'm looking at the matchup, it's looking like Weezing is probably my least useful Pokemon for the remainder of this match. So allowing Weezing to go down here isn't too bad because it will allow me to switch something in later. She actually ends up going for a Hidden Power Ground. I don't know what that was about. I mean, obviously I'm levitating. Maybe she thought it was a different hidden power. An Ice Beam would have just finished me off, but yeah. So I do get a Sludge Bomb off there. I was kind of just waiting for Weezing to die, although that didn't really happen, as this thing is going to go for a Roost, get some health back, as I just go for a Flamethrower. At this point, I expected this thing to kind of just honestly kill me, so I was kind of just clicking moves. I get some super effective damage there, so you know that's cool. No burn though, which is unfortunate, as at this point she does end up going for a Hurricane, which is honestly kind of risky. Got a pretty decent chance to miss there, and an Ice Beam really would have just finished me off. But yeah, so down goes Weezing. The good news is this allows me to bring in Good Head. Ready to get some Good Head going. I am Choice Scarf, so I will be able to outspeed. And here I'm going to go for a Superpower rather than going for the Head Smash right away. I kind of expected the Aggron to potentially come in, so I just go straight for the Superpower there. It is going to finish off the Articuno. Unfortunately, I lose some attack and defense, but not really too big of a deal because I was planning to switch out after this anyway. So she now brings in the Palisand. Little Sandcastle guy with the spinning shovel on his head comes out, which is honestly hilarious every time. I obviously cannot not go for the superpower against that thing because it's ghost type as fuck. So I decided to switch in my squad goals. A little shiny Wishiwashi comes out here, and I assembled the Goon Squad. So this thing can't really hurt me. Earth Power is its highest damage move against me, and I'm kind of a beast, so it doesn't really do a whole lot to me, as it does actually get the special defense drop, which kind of sucks. And luckily, though, I do land a Hydro Pump, and that is going to fuck up that kid's sandcastle. So sorry to do that to you, buddy, but yeah, a Hydro Pump is going to finish that thing off, and no more Palisand to worry about. So in comes the Vikavolt, and this thing is kind of interesting because I do have a solid switch against this, which would be my Manectric with the Lightning Rod, but I decided to just go into Cradilly here just to kind of scout out what this thing is going to go for. I know I can take Thunderbolts really nicely. I'm especially defensive beast-ass Cradilly, so it actually ends up going for the Energy Ball there, which I thought was interesting against the Wishiwashi. You would think it would want to go for Stab, but Cradilly eats that up relatively nicely, and now she's going to actually go for a Gigavolt Havoc. So this was kind of an interesting play here because I feel like Bug Buzz is the ideal play, but going for the Z power here, going to activate that Gigavolt Havoc. Looks all intense, that's the scary ass Vikavolt, but you know who's not afraid of this shit is motherfucking Cradildo, which honestly is able to take that really nicely. Leaves me with 66 HP, not very effective, as I am finally able to set up my Stealth Rock safely. So that's kind of cool, and at this point I honestly am kind of not really too worried about losing Cradilly. I will be able to bring in a solid matchup against the Vikavolt, which is most likely my Rampardo. So now she goes for the Bug Buzz. It's going to do more than the Z Power did, so it definitely should have done that in the first place. Some solid misplays in this match, but you know, it still turned out to be a good match. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and bring out the good head. Like I said earlier, ready to give some good head, and I'm going to go for the head smash here actually. So the Vikavolt is going to switch out. I really should have just gone for the Earthquake. Seeing as I do have the Mold Breaker ability, it would be able to hit the levitating Vikavolt, but I go for the head smash. As the Aggron comes in, it's looking like it could be a potential 2-hit KO, but I don't really feel like risking it here, as I am hurt by some recoil, and then this thing gets some leftovers. Plus, I don't really want to miss a head smash. Rampardos is looking really useful for the rest of this match here, so I'm going to go ahead and switch this dude out. Want to save this thing for later, as I'm just going to go right into squad goals. Here I actually get knocked down from Stealth Rock, which will actually activate my Citrus Berry, which is kind of cool. Bust that shit out, get a nice little meal going, and it brings me to a solid amount of HP there, as I do activate the Goon Squad yet again. So big ass Submarine Fish is kind of equipped to take any attack from the Aggron. As it goes for a heavy slam, it's not very effective, so I am able to eat that up really nicely. And now my plan is to go for a nice little Hydro Pump. Honestly, Wishiwashi hits super hard with Hydro Pump. Not enough people use this thing. I guess it's not that competitively viable in the current metagame, but it's still really fun to use, and honestly, I like this thing as a Pokemon. So in comes the Silvally, gonna get hurt by a little bit of Stealth Rock. I do actually connect with another Hydro Pump, which is honestly amazing. 2 in a row, holy shit. So it's unfortunately not going to be enough to knock this thing out. It is going to go for a nice little parting shot here, which is going to lower my attacks, as it's going to go ahead and switch out here. So I'm just going straight for, I believe I go for the Ice Beam here just to not miss. Honestly, I felt like I was going to miss on another Hydro Pump. Didn't feel like I obviously needed it against that amount of health on the Silvally. So I go for the Ice Beam here with the minus special attack. Not going to do a whole lot to the Vikavolt, as at this point I decide to bank on the fact that this thing might go for an electric attack. I decide to switch in Manectric. If I can get the Lightning Rod to activate, I should be able to sweep this rest of this matchup. But she goes for the Energy Ball again, which is terrible because Manectric is going to go down, and that's actually kind of scary because Manectric was looking really useful for the rest of the match, and I kind of just wasted it switching into an Energy Ball. Although I feel like the risk was worth the reward. If it had gone for the Thunderbolt, I would have been able to pretty much sweep up the rest of the match with that thing. So I'm now going to bring in my Rampardos. I decided this time just go for the Earthquake. I know the Aggron's probably going to come in, plus it's able to hit the Vikavolt, so I go ahead and shake the old ground a little bit, and that's gonna kill the Aggron there. So that's a dead-ass Aggron. Those things are quite annoying, so good to see that thing go down. And at this point, she's actually going to bring right back in the Vikavolt, potentially forgetting about the Mold Breaker ability. Basically, it nullifies any abilities like Levitate, and I can hit things with a ground attack. So, Levitating Vikavolt, you're not going to be able to get away from a ground attack this time. It's honestly just super satisfying being able to kill a Vikavolt with an Earthquake. But down goes that thing. Shiny ass is dead as hell, as in comes the Silvally, who actually just dies to Stealth Rock. I'm guessing she thought she would be able to live with a small amount of HP and then be able to parting shot me. But actually I have a Scarf, so I would have been able to outspeed anyway, unless that thing was Scarf. But yeah, so in comes the Xatu. I am locked into Earthquake. Obviously I cannot touch this thing because it's actually flying. Mold Breaker does not work against actual flying types, so I go ahead and save Rampardos for later, and I'm just going to switch in my Scrafty. So I actually just planned on losing Scrafty to like an Air Slash or something, but as you'll see here, she goes for the Calm Mind, And I was honestly just hoping that she would kill this Crafty here. I do have the Rampardos in the back of the team, so I'm honestly just waiting to bring that thing out to finish this off with a head smash. But she goes for the Thunder Wave now, which really tells me that her only attacking moves must be a Psychic type. Considering I am Dark type, there's nothing that the Xatu can really do to me. That's why you always want to carry like a Dazzling Gleam or something on your Xatu. So this thing's just going to go for a Roost now that I'm paralyzed over here, can't really do a damn thing. This thing's at like full HP. I do get a knockoff. And it's not going to quite kill it, as it does have a Focus Sash, which is kind of annoying there, as I'm actually going to not end up killing myself with a Life Orb, as this thing is going to try to go for a Side Shock, kind of just showing me as the only thing that she could really do at this point. I do get fully parried there, as one more Roost is going to happen, although I do break through, and I end up getting one more knockoff, which is going to take care of the Xatu. So unfortunately for her, only having Side Shock really kind of messed up the chances for this matchup. So one more knockoff is going to take care of the Xatu, and that is going to be the end of the match there. So I do actually kill myself with a Life Orb, but I've still got some Pokemon in the back of the team. So that's going to be the end of the match. That was a pretty fun one. I really like using this team. It's got some Pokemon that are kind of gimmicky, but they do work in certain situations. I don't know. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Go ahead and hit that like button on this video if you enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe for some more Wi-Fi battles. Peace out.